Come get this alpha, man. Come get this fucking alpha. You know, I'm not even really sure what to say anymore. You know what I mean? Because we have been fucking threading this for months. For absolute months now. I don't even know what else to say. I hope to God you've made money, because I've streamed twice a week, every week, for the last several months and told you exactly what the fuck was going to happen, and then it happened. If I weren't lazy is not the right word, unmotivated. If I weren't unmotivated to like put out a greatest hits, I would go back and literally just take clip after clip after clip, week by week by week, talking about where the support zone was, when there was the reversal, grab the screen grab from the Telegram, hey, we better punch through or you're going to want to get out of this. Literally from 31K down to sub 25.3, which is what I was saying. Look for a reaction. And what happened? Lo and behold, here we are. Into my green zone that I've literally had on my chart for months. Months. And hot stove reaction, bam, rip straight back up. Now, does that mean we're out of the woods? Nah, it doesn't. But I said this the other day. I forget the context, but it was something to the effect of, like, it's nice to see reactions in the areas because it validates that you know what you're doing. Not that you think you don't, but yeah, isn't that funny? BlackRock just happened to pop in right at the exact moment where there was support on Bitcoin. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for them to do that because they know. They have technicians. I don't know if companies do this or not, but they should. You should have somebody on staff that tells you when the market is ripe for announcements, right? Like, think about the people who were like, hold on a second, let me get out of here. All right, here we go. Think about the people who were like, on this day, last November of 21, who were like, we're excited to get into the blockchain industry. We've announced we've hired a chief crypto officer, and just it's been shit ever since. Literally for almost a year and a half now, you've been looking down the barrel of you being a fucking idiot. You know, like having just like a consultant that helps you when to post shit. Because like, it wouldn't have been like everyone was excited here north of 31K, but you know, there were so many reasons that it was going to go wrong, and it did, which is funny. And then like now here we are. But I mean, we got it exactly the fuck right. Exactly right. I almost titled this stream Victory Lap. Just straight up. Victory Lap. Now, I'm not that distasteful. I really just need to pull all this shit together. Because, like, if somebody was watching this for the first time, they don't know if I'm telling the truth or not. I just need to go cut the videos. I'll do it. This week's pretty hectic. I got a match today. I got a huge tournament this weekend. I got people coming in from out of town. So this is my only stream this week. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome, right? It's been pretty freaking awesome. You got the engulfing bar that you wanted. You took out the previous high. We're back to the 50, and it's kind of decision time now. But as Link posted a bit ago, BlackRock here to save us. Deutsche Bank filed for digital service asset license as well. Digital asset license, I should say. And we're really looking at a place where it would make sense. Like, it's not like BlackRock doesn't know the technicals. Like, everybody who's anybody that isn't an idiot knew this was a support area. It just doesn't get more clear than that. So, yeah, we're going to announce right in here. Hey, and now BlackRock is getting goodwill from crypto people because they're like, hey, you jumped in when we was looking like shit. Now, we love BlackRock, even though you guys have $1 trillion under management. Yes, I am. I have a spot. I only buy... Dude, I'm so done with leverage. So I just don't do it because I don't need to. However, yeah, I have a spot Bitcoin long right now. I deployed some capital. Yanni, what's up, man? This is Victory Lap Tuesday for me because look at this. This is a fucking weekly chart. This is when we started talking about it. Like, this is kind of hot. This overshot a little bit. And that was the weekly bar of April 10th. And it's June 20th. So for 9.5 weeks, we've been talking about how maybe it doesn't look good. And then everyone looked at me like I was crazy when I was like, you know what? This is a pretty big spot against the S&P after we ran up to 3,100. Like, this is not an insignificant area when you've seen it be respected twice. It's not just going to blast through there. And then everyone was fanboying at the time about crypto in general, being like, no, bro, to the moon. Look at this huge rip off the bottom. Oh, baby, it's our time. And I was like, I don't think this is going to happen overnight. And sure enough, that goes back to March 13th. So from March 13th to June 20th, folks, that's 3 months and a week. It's 13 fucking weeks. We've been talking about, like, you know what? Maybe this doesn't make sense. And where's the ideal area that you would potentially get along? Back here, retesting the area. And lo and behold, where do we get a naked reversal and reaction? Off of the bottom. In the exact fucking area I've been talking about for 13 weeks. For 13 weeks. It feels somewhat shitty to just get on here and be like, hey, fuckers, I was right. But, like, I don't know. I don't know how you grow anymore. Like, I don't know what you do. Everyone's always told me I got a face for radio. So maybe I should just take my camera off here. But, like, at the end of the day, bro, we fucking nailed this. Every piece of this with significant evidence on high time frames. So if this doesn't show you, not necessarily that I know what I'm talking about, because I think if you're still here, you know that I'm not full of shit. But just that technicals and like just decent reasoning is all you need to navigate the market. You don't need to look at some fucking news article. You don't need to hear what Crypto Cred and Don Alt say. Like, you just need to look at stuff and be like, hey, where does this make sense? And I've seen people, there's plenty of people that I look at Twitter now that used to come in here every day. They used to come into my stream every time I streamed. And they don't show up anymore. But you know what they do? They post charts that look exactly like mine. Which, you know, some people would be annoyed by that. I don't mind it. Because that's kind of the point of this. Is I don't do anything earth-shattering. When you see me mark up a chart, you're not like, oh, fuck, man, that was gorgeous. Look at that line. Like, I know that's not it. It's just really practical, sound, logical thinking, right? And so you can do that too. Maybe that's why I don't have people that like, I don't get thousands of viewers. Because once you come and watch me for a little bit, you learn the methodology, you just go do that shit yourself. You're like, I don't fucking need him anymore. SS, what's up, bud? So yeah, absolutely shredded this. I cannot even say anything more than, like, since the falling wedge breakout, which is literally going back to January, we have shredded this. I hope you've made money. I know I have. And now we'll see. So let's get into the more tactical directions right now. I am Brant. Overall. Good to see you, bud. Let's get into a little more tactical right now. You have to get down to a smaller time frame when you get in this area. And just look around a little bit, because it's kind of hard to tell, right? Kind of hard to tell. What I would love to see would be a range recapture up here, but that's 29K right now. Or I'm sorry, a channel recapture back up in here would be the most bullish thing possible. So if we can get that rip higher, and actually like get here, challenge near the top, which I think there's reason to believe it's possible. And the reason for that is like simple stuff, right? So now you have the low time frame traders who are like, Oh, dude, look, we got this breakout. Shit, it broke out, held it. Now it's continuing to try. The next area that you would want to see broken would be here. Okay. Break that area. Break that area. And then lastly, it's like right there. Okay. So those are the areas. If you're swinging this, if you're intraday trading, which I don't suggest because it's dumb, but I have my long now anyway, so I don't really give a shit. I mean, I have a long in this area that I have a stop underneath. So my stop is like 24.2, I think. And I bought on chain. So do I have a stop? Not really. But I do have an alert on here that if we got through 24.2 for me to load up my shit and trade, right? To get out of it. So it's easier when we were on exchanges, but now we don't have exchanges anymore. And I don't feel like doing it on GMX right now. I'm just buying and holding spot. So the alerts I would set would be here and here. So it'd be like, hey, this is showing some strength. If you want to set the alerts, do it like this. Recent high takeout. Bullish. Okay. And then this one right here would be last hurdle before 30K. I would also spell hurdle correctly. That also helps. Not hurdle, although we could be hurdle. You never know. So that's the areas I'm looking at now. Very, very simple. Very straightforward. Don't need to overcomplicate shit. One area, two area, boom. All right. Look at here. God, it's beautiful. It literally could not have been any perfect. I mean, it's almost to the tick. Guys, I didn't adjust this line. Go back and look. It barely flashed down into this proven support area and whoop, naked reversal right back. Right back. That's the hot stove kind of response that you want. Now, some of you might say, dude, that was a wick. That it could be filled. You're not wrong. But look at it on the daily. It's not like this was for one moment. Okay? It looks like it on the weekly, but it doesn't look like it on the daily. On the daily, it kind of came down. It thought about it. That is your reversal on a candle. Okay? That's what that looks like. Not quite a harami, but, looks good. Because you got the engulfing bar the next day. That engulfed the previous day, engulfed the previous 2 days, engulfed the previous 3 days, and here we sit. Like, it's just, you've seen strength come off the bottom. But it reacted exactly where we should. Exactly where we should, like we've been talking about for months at this point. Validating that, hey, we know what we were talking about here. Even though I say this is the greatest alpha ever, but do people listen? God knows, right? No way to really tell. No way to really tell. The thing that concerns me more right now, I've been talking about for a while. The S&P will be whatever extended. Okay, you got a gap down today. Don't love that. It's right into this line we drew before it was there, which is that like high pivot, probably going to get some resistance. And sure enough, there it is. Okay, gets kicked back over. I don't think this turns around immediately. RGO, first off, thank you for the resub, man. Currently on a 2-month streak, my guy. What would you suggest for people that missed the buy at the lows? I'll get to that in a second. So you got this rip into the top here on the S&P, and it's going to have a retracement. It's going to have a retracement. There's no way this just keeps ripping, and you've already seen it a little bit on the chart that I usually show, and I will pull that up on this one. Because it'll give you a better understanding of like what's about to happen. And the way to look for those proper buy areas is to look at this. Okay, look at the S&P. Remember, it's a mean reverting instrument. It has not mean reverted since, you could argue, the 25th of May, so almost a month. This midline 4270 would be the first place on the S&P 500. When this drops and reverts back to the mean, which, well, for the record, I've never really talked about this. What you want to see happen is like this, okay? Like that's ideal, where it can just continue riding this line up. And that's an uptrend. That's what that typically looks like. Like you can see it here, right? Breakthrough up, ride it, break down, and it reverses. Like, so you can see how it usually reverts back to the mean. And when it drips off the mean, shoots higher, you know you're in a sustained trend upward. So we're hoping we're going to see that confluence again, particularly now that BlackRock is wading in. So it's one of the things you can look at is when this actually does mean revert, which it should, where's Bitcoin going to be at that time? Okay. You missed this here. The place that makes the most sense to me now would be here, this 26.2 area, because it's the previous high takeout and you proved it once, kind of twice right here. So if you see any sort of drop back down anywhere near here, you'd be fine. But the problem is you cannot rule out, stop hunt games, right? So like my stop's down here, or my trigger is down here. And if you buy here, you can't really set your stop anywhere but the same place as me. So you have to take a smaller size. And that's really, when we talk about risk management, we talk about only risking a certain percentage of your portfolio whenever you put on a trade. Kaz talks about it all the time, right? A 1R trade. So if you're only willing to give up X percent on your calculations, then you need to size down. Go, I can't buy a massive, I can't go full throated, I can't leverage. I'm going to set my stop in the same place. Yeah, 1RR, yikes. Okay, you need to be ready to take this on. So I've talked about it a lot, the psychology and the thing when people are like, man, I see the trades look good, I circle an area, it hits the area, and I'm not profitable. Like, what's going on? Very simple answer. You're getting shit entries. I know, me personally, that I really do not enjoy seeing red numbers on an exchange or like in my stock portfolio or whatever. Like, I don't want to see red. It just gets in my head. I start rethinking things. I start doubting myself and being like, God, did I get that wrong? I might have gotten that wrong. Shit. I really hope I didn't. I might have gotten it wrong. And like, it's red for a few days. And then sure enough, you get in your own head and you close the position. And then what happens? Obviously, when it gets down here, you're like, oh boy, I got to get out of here. And then, of course, as soon as you close it, you see the reversal. And usually that happens, because you weren't confident in your position. So what I say to everybody is, if you can circle a good area and you're still not making money, it's because you're shitty in entries. And you're probably re-going over in your head, second guessing yourself. So entries are very, very important because it gives you the intestinal fortitude to hold on to a position that momentarily moves against you. I can't tell you how many times before I learned that lesson, I cut positions, and then as soon as I cut them, watched like a gap and go the next day in stocks. You're like, I don't know, man, target looks like shit. I'm going to cut it. Cut target the next day. They're like, hey, surprise announcement. We're going to beat, sales forecast by 25%. You're like, what the fuck? And it just gaps and goes and leaves you behind, and there's no way for you to get in. So it's a discipline thing. It's a trading thing. But the best I can do for you here is this local low and any sort of like wick back down here right now. The other thing you could do is wait and hope for some sort of regression or rejection off this 50-day, which is possible. Okay, it's possible. We're not saying that it's not. Link Marines knows. Okay, Link Marines knows. If you get, this here, this rejection off the 50, it is theoretically possible. I'm not ruling it out that you get a double bottom to prove this area. So it's not like it's necessarily done. There's a lot of people doing victory laps right now that may not deserve it, myself included. But if you get another dip down here and it proves two times came into the zone and rip right back up again, I would feel very, very confident that that is a sustained area of strength. And this is where you want to be for the move to the high part of the range. High part of the range here being north of $30,000. So you kind of have to wait and see and not let FOMO get to you, man. That's my advice. And you go, okay, great. Not let FOMO get to me. That's like telling an alcoholic not to drink. Totally get that, man. It's shit's hard as fuck. It's really hard. But you could take small size here if you want to be part in. When I was first learning how to trade, my mentor told me that's what he calls a psych position. Okay. Or you can even buy right now, do it with like 5% of your portfolio. The psych position is so you have a trade on. That way, if this thing just continues going higher, breaks through 27.3, gets into 28, you at least have a small position. But it'd be irresponsible to go balls deep on a long right now because it's just not the area you want to have your back up against the wall. Remember, guys, my whole shtick, the whole reason that my name is plus expected value is you want to have your back against the wall with the highest likelihood, the highest percentage to succeed. So you can put on a full position and not necessarily worry about it. Are you going to get them all right? No. But you're going to get more right than wrong, and that's the whole point of plus expected value. On a long enough time frame, you're going to win more than you lose. That's making money, right? That's literally it. That's simply it. All right? So that's a pretty easy way to take a 1 or 10-second question and turn it into a 10-minute answer, but hopefully you get where I'm coming from there. Looking at ES, like I said, it was extended. We got up against the top band, not looking great. I mean, the thing that's nuts is the NQ, which again stopped exactly where we should. Surprise, surprise. You go, Jared, how did you do that? Well, because this shit's easy, all right? On futures. On futures, it's very easy. You're welcome. You can see these areas, they're just never blown through. Like guys who shorted this and caught this downside, left runners, and they're not just going to like easily let themselves out of it. They may close here. Somebody else might go, I'm going to hedge against it. You usually see that response against real areas in futures, okay? And so we need to see where this shit lands. If I had to guess, it could land here like 13.5, 13.7 on the NQ, which would be intriguing. It'd be a good place to buy. So what I'm looking for now for secondary buys are when things align again. When things align again, where the S&P aligns, where Bitcoin is at some sort of support, where NASDAQ, NQ is at some sort of support, where are things lining up at the exact same time with Bitcoin and Ethereum? But that doesn't feel good when you miss it. Ethereum, we'll go to the daily because it looks sexier. God damn, look at that. Just, right. You know what I mean? I just kind of haphazardly drew that. Theoretically, you could go these areas instead. Here and here, which is probably more accurate. Yeah, so Ethereum was, exactly what we thought. Exactly what we thought. Landed where it should. Pretty freaking easy. Pretty easy. You know what's funny? Back in the day, shit like TradeStation and, oh God, I forgot. TC2000 and a bunch of other like programs allowed you to draw on charts, and that was seen as like revolutionary. Multi-charts, okay? Oh my God. Super funny. Super, super funny. Because now it's like anyone can just drop this plugin and cost no dollars to actually use it. So yeah, you see this drop down. Marquette says check out the ETH versus QQQ, which I will. I just wanted to point out that we were right on that one. And then here, is that on the daily? ETH, QQQ, most beautiful chart ever. Yeah, I mean, it's what it does, man. These ratios will make you rich if you stick with them. Also, just again, continuing my victory lap on this. I know, it's shitty. But like, look at this. Come on. Come on. Almost exactly as it's played out is what I said would happen here a month ago. Yeah, you'll probably see a little fake breakout, maybe get up to the 50-week moving average, get a reject, surrender back under the DTL, and probably retest the lows. It's exactly what's happened. It's exactly what's happened. And that's just contextual. There was nothing other than it just doesn't make sense. We talked about that last week. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. For those of you just joining, we talked about Bitcoin. We've talked about how this chart right here is the greatest alpha you'll ever see in your life. Understanding how how Bitcoin is moving against the S&P 500 will literally make you rich. And if you want to learn how we did this, stick around or rewatch this episode after you're done, because I'm not going to cover it again. I got shit I got to do today. But we've been on this for 13 weeks, and this probably isn't a great place to go long when we're right at the high versus the ratio. Maybe look for this area, and it did. It hit the bottom. It hit the support zone for Bitcoin over SPX. That ratio, you can see it over here. And that's where you started to see a reaction off the bottom. You can see it right there. Bang. Moved off the bottom. We've had this line, this area on our chart circled for months. It got there and delivered. Right? Absolutely delivered. Got this right as well. I mean, not shocking. I think we're going to retest this area. I could even theoretically see this going lower. I don't like these lines anymore. I'm going to pull these out of here because it annoys me. And maybe begin to form this right shoulder, which I would like. The timing would make sense, okay? The timing would make sense if you were to come down here and make this right shoulder and then move higher. Now we're into the fall, right? You're into the fall as you're getting through here. You can maybe get near a high side, consolidation, breakout before things get really exciting in Q1 and Q2 of next year, which I'm excited for. As for Link Team selling tokens, that doesn't bother me, man. Like I said, I don't really care. My thesis on that is that long term, if they are able to pull Web 2 things into Web 3 and make them oracleized, it'll change the game entirely. So is it annoying? Sure. Do I really care though? No, I don't. They got to eat too, man. Remember, it is load up a 0.6 for real. I mean, so that's it. It would be the right shoulder right here. That's just 0.059, 0.062. You want to see it hold. Again, just with everything, just because you get to an area doesn't mean you just blindly buy. You can't just be like, all right, fuck it, I'll set my buys and not even worry about it. It could fall right through. It could fall right through down at the bottom. So you want to see a reaction. But what does a reaction look like, Jared? I'm glad you asked. It looks like this. Okay, it looks like what we saw on Bitcoin, where you dipped into the demand zone and saw a hot stove reaction. That's what you... A lot of times people get confused about what a reaction is, what it looks like. And there's ways to think about that, right? But the slow confirmed way is taking out a previous high. And that's a long freaking way. The previous high from 24/7 was 26.2. Are you going to wait around for that long to get long? I mean, I wouldn't. So the way that you can kind of train your brain to go, is this the proper reaction or not? It's like a child touching a hot stove for the first time, okay? You touch a hot stove and you're like, okay. So it got into this area and was like, oh shit, and just hot stove reaction up off the bottom. It's the way that you should internalize what does a reaction look like. A kid doesn't put his hand on a hot stove and go like, oh, that feels kind of odd. Maybe I'll try that some more. No, you take your hand off because that shit fucking hurts. And that is what happened down here. You got a little bit of time, a couple of wicks, people stepped in, and bam, ripped it out of the bottom. Ripped it out of the bottom. Very, very cool to see. What's also very cool to see is this piece of shit. All right? It's nice to see the dollar falling apart. Now, we talked about how there was a weekly divergence, and there was. Here it is with the dollar. It hasn't even gone away yet. If you've watched me for a while, you know there's a signal on the dollar. You know there's a signal on these divergence longs where it does make a bit of a right shoulder. And that could be what we're doing right now, and that's not great. That would be the downside. That would be the thing that I would not feel good about right now. Because if we put in this right shoulder and hold this higher low, because look at this, all right? I guarantee you no one's talking about this right now. I'll be a little bit more speculative so people understand that this is a guess, a prognostication. But like, if we come in and put in a right side shoulder here, that's an inverse head and shoulders on the dollar. You don't want that. The problem is, a lot of times these divergence signals I've given you guys for 2.5 years now, they have right shoulders, okay? If you recall, when we talked about, hey, the top, we need to keep pushing, or the top's in, when I was talking about it on this day, Friday, April 14th, we got the breakdown and it put in a right shoulder, okay? Right here, head and shoulders, guys. It's a head and shoulders top. It was a head and shoulders top. I don't usually bring that up because it just confuses people and you don't necessarily need to know, but it's funny because a lot of times we'll say, okay, the top is in, like we did on the 14th. We need to keep pushing. I'm going to move to cash. If you're in Telegram now, go check the posted notes on April 14th. Call the top. It was literally the day of the high. If you're not in the Telegram, join the Telegram. Okay? What's funny is when this shit happens, after I make a call like that, people are like, hey, you think we're going to take at the highs now? It's going back higher. And I always am like, I don't want to confuse you. Like, the right shoulder thing is pretty likely when this stuff happens. You want to see another example? Good. I'm glad you asked. Here was the short of the top. Came down, tried to put in a right shoulder. Got rejected. Let's look at the bottom. When we call it the bottom in July of 21. Here's the bottom. Try to do a mini right shoulder. Couldn't even get there. Okay. So you usually see that little fake down afterward. That one's not a good one. This is another good one though. Came back up, formed a right shoulder, broke down higher. So it's not uncommon to see that happen. What is uncommon, or what you want to look for, is if it actually breaks it kills the signal. That's the one thing I've never really spoken about. If this right shoulder takes out the highs, the entire signal is invalid. Let me do this. That way you guys aren't confused by it. If you get higher on the secondary shoulder and you take out the highs, that's a failed right shoulder. And if you fail the right shoulder, you take out the head. You take out the head, you're moving higher. Okay? I had this video go viral maybe a year and a half ago where I talked about what people don't usually think about when they think about chart patterns, when they think about technical analysis, is I need a bullish chart or I need a bearish chart. That's what people think. It has to be bullish, it has to be bearish. Not really, okay? A failed bearish chart is bullish. A failed bullish move is bearish. So you need to see both sides of it. It's not necessarily like, oh, well, it's a rising wedge, so it must be bearish, or it's a falling wedge, so it must be bullish. You have to put it in context of what's happening. So a head and shoulders topping pattern, everyone knows is a top. Everyone knows is a top. But you will get occasional failed right shoulders where that high gets taken out. And when that starts to happen, you know the head's going to be taken out. Google anything on technical analysis and head and shoulders patterns. If the second shoulder fails at any point where it can't hold the level, it will take out the head every single time. Every time. If you fail a right shoulder, either inverse or regular head and shoulders, it will take out the head. So what we really, really, really want to see happen here is this shit break down. Because that means we'll get a continuation lower on the dollar. That means we'll get a continuation lower on the dollar, which is really what we want. Okay? A lot of you are looking at this being like, Jared, that's not even a head and shoulders pattern. You're right. It was the one day off the bottom that I set this alert on. But if you look at how it's kind of drawn up since, and the fact that we're seeing additional support over here, if you look on the weekly, it is. That's where that line comes from. That's where that line comes from. Not from the daily. It comes from the weekly. That's where the right shoulder's coming from. Okay? So watch that. The best thing that can happen for us right now is a right shoulder failure of DXY, which means we will get a breakdown. I mean, probably sub 100. And it'll be a tremendous remainder of the year for us. Matty just said he was trying to chat. Can't chat on Twitch. Shitty airplane Wi-Fi. But dude, you look so pissed off while you stream. You're literally right nonstop, no cap. That would make me like pretty happy. Yeah, I am happy. You know what I'm annoyed about, man? I'm annoyed that I don't have more followers. That's what I'm annoyed about. That's what I'm annoyed about. Because at the very worst, July of 21, almost 2 years, every single major move we've nailed. Every single major move. So that bothers me. But fair enough. I'll try to look nicer. You know what's funny? I haven't even looked at Grayscale since all that shit went down. Thanks, Van City. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. You know, it's nice to be a secret. It's better to be a slightly more well-known than I am, but you know, whatever. Also, having dark hair and like really gesticulating facial expressions and like all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah, I look nuts. But also that helps out when people are just scrolling through like the crypto and they see me going fucking bananas. I'm not just sitting here like, I'm gonna get along. Right here, okay. One time leverage. Like just how I am. That's the Italian blood, man. That's the Italian blood. It is interesting to see Grayscale actually having a rip, though. I've kind of started looking at it because after all the bullshit and how entangled they were with everything that we talked about with Andrew on the podcast, I just kind of like lost track of it, if I'm honest. So it's nice to see. Clearly, there's been a trade on GBTC for a while because eventually it'll work itself out. It's just been not following anything as there's pending litigation. So the best thing that can happen for all the parties involved in that lawsuit is number go up. Number goes up, everybody's happy. Numbers go up, everybody's happy. But yeah, that's wild to see. Let me pull out a little bit. Monthly. That's fucking bananas, dude. Look at that. Equal lows. Equal lows to the COVID lows, man. Look at that shit. That's how bad people were. How down people were on Grayscale when that shit started happening. Also, how fucking pissed would you be if you're Grayscale? And like, they would have been out of this entirely if their ETF was approved. And it never was. And then BlackRock's like, we'd like one. Fidelity's like, yeah, we'll get on that shit. And now Deutsche Bank's like, yeah, we're going to do it too. And they're like, all right, yeah, we can definitely accommodate you guys there, but fuck Grayscale. Like, that's effectively what happened. I'd be pretty pissed. Yikes. SEC's like, yeah, dude, whatever, man. We know you own us. You're worth $1 trillion fucking dollars. $1 trillion. I think the number is actually 760 billion, but I'm rounding up. So don't come at me with your, oh, you're wrong, bro. Incredible. Gas coming back down, although it's still extremely expensive to fill up where I live. Fucking Chicago. Adam looks like shit. I don't want to talk about Juno. Juno sucks. Until it doesn't. AVAX into the support zone. This is interesting because I think AVAX has a lot going for it. I'll pull up BTCD in a second. I'm glad you said that because I meant to pull that up in my tabs and I kind of forgot. But AVAX is at an area that would make sense for AVAX to go along, and AVAX has a lot going for it. Not to mention our boy Dale. Works for the foundation, so good for him. But it's right back here near this like equal lows. Remember, it went from 11 to 22 once before. And their subnets. Yeah. I know. Bro, same. I mean, yeah, I literally had 6 figures of that shit. Now it's worth like $12. Whatever. It is what it is. That's the game. And I'm sure some of you found my wallet. I haven't sold shit. So, since it was like $40 some. Yeah, equal lows on AVAX is interesting. Their subnets are really intriguing. I think they're leading the charge for that. Okay. They're essentially doing... I used to make fun of AVAX because AVAX was copying the Cosmos, like Atom. And now I'm like, that's fucking brilliant because they're competent and the Atom guys aren't. So I don't know, man. If you're going to back a horse, it's worse to back other shit than AVAX because AVAX has dudes that know how to get shit done. The problem with Adam, quite frankly, is they're too fucking like arrogant about what they've done. We built this shit forever. Look at our security mechanism, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, fine. Fine. You have a great consensus for security. It helps for interchain transfers. It allows your ecosystem to be secure and kind of closed, which is really nice. The problem is you guys can't get a partnership to save your fucking lives. Okay? I forget his name. The dude that runs AVAX, even though he's kind of a bitch on Twitter, like he fucking cries and whines about people making fun of him all the time. He gets deals done, dude. He gets partnerships. So I like their ability to generate business to build the chain more than I do what I see out of Cosmos, which is too bad because Cosmos got it right first and they're just a bunch of children. Anyway, I digress. All right, BTCD. Thank you for bringing that up. Fuck you. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this forever too, right? Right? Forever. I mean, just Christ. Look at this. Yeah, I don't think it's really worth. I don't think it's really worth dipping in on alts until at least 53, and quite honestly, it might go higher. This stuff with BlackRock is really, really strong for the industry at large. Like, it's good news. It's been really shitty in crypto for a long time. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it hasn't been shitty because it is. But we're starting to see the silver linings where this shit starts to get better. And so it's getting set up. You just got to start looking for reasons to believe, and I think this is one of them. BTCD kind of breaking out. That makes sense. BlackRock, Fidelity, Deutsche Bank, others are all going to get in on an ETF. That's going to bring in a ton of people who are like, yeah, I mean, I want to get in crypto, but I don't want to fuck around that much. That's just going to be passive money into the ecosystem, which is exactly what we need. Because, like, who's still trading right now besides us fucking degens? Right? Yeah, that makes sense too. Man. Also, this is my last thing. If you guys have any other questions, I'll entertain them or pull up any charts. I will, but you know, I follow Messi's private account. He doesn't let a ton of people follow him, but obviously we know each other. And he was talking about how, like, it's his opinion that DeFi is nearing a bottom. Not that it's bottomed, but it's nearing a bottom. DeFi has essentially been in a bear market for 3 years. Since DeFi Summer, which was fucking 3 years ago. So since DeFi Summer was 3 years ago, it would make sense that, you know, cyclically, is that a word? You know, this shit's about to pop off. And how will we know it's coming back? Well, DeFi perp. Look for strength in the DeFi perp versus Ethereum. And we'll start talking about that more too. All right. This is my last stream for the week. I got a golf tournament this week. I got a few of these. This is really my big week for like the rest of the summer. So I got guests coming in from out of town. I've won this tournament once. Trying to win it again. And yeah, it's pretty intense. Good stuff. I will still be checking charts. I will still be posting in Telegram and Discord to kind of give updates as I see them if anything crazy happens. But to recap like I usually do. Thanks, man. Like I usually do. We want to see what happens next, right? We're at the 50. Can we get the breakthrough? Can we take out these highs? Get through 37.3, get up to 28. These are the areas that are intriguing to me because if you can break through one, it's showing strength. You can get through one, it's showing strength. Even if you come back down and prove that level again, that's showing strength. Come back down and prove this level, then you move higher, okay? And that's how you can eventually reclaim this thing. Now, is it going to be like that? No. But it's when we get through the level, what happens? When we get through the level, do we continue going? Do we just slice through it like hot butter? Like a hot knife through butter? There we go. Like, or are we going to see resistance? So when you start to see resistance, take note and go, yeah, we had issues here at whatever, 27.3. We had issues at 28, or we didn't at 27.3. We did at 28. It helps you to see where a landing point and where your targets could be. Okay. The best thing overall that I would say to look for in the near future is, can we get any sort of sustained move and try to regain this super aggressive channel? I don't think so, but that's okay. Which means that if we can't regain the channel, which we probably won't, I would be 100% okay with this sort of range until the halvening, which is right there. I would be like, would you guys really be upset about a 20 to 24K range? I'm sorry, 30 to 24K range until next spring? I wouldn't, man. You could make a shitload of money doing that. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you, Link. I'll be back next week. And if you have questions, again, join the Telegram. Links in the description. Join the Discord. And quite frankly, guys, a lot of people do it anyway. I don't really remind it. If you have a direct question, dude, send me a question. Send me a DM. I will always answer. Just make sure you're in the Telegram to do it. There have been impersonators out there. And look, as someone who's lost a lot of money to scumbags, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Thanks, Marquette. Yeah. You know, it's just fun to compete. You know what I mean? Don't get to compete that often. You know, when you kind of take it for granted when you're in high school or even in college, like you play intramurals, you do those things. And like, you just don't think about it. Like, it's fun to compete. It's hard to find areas to compete as you get older. Make us proud. Yeah, everybody knows I'm the crypto guy at my country club too. So I was like, hey man, what's up with Bitcoin? What's up with Ethereum? Yeah. What is up? You and your rich boy should buy some. But yeah, I'll let you guys know how it goes. Hopefully they just don't get rinsed. Like, I really don't want to get on my ass. Perform well. Give yourself a chance. But anyway, be safe out there. Look for secondary buy opportunities. If anything crazy happens, I don't care if I'm on hole 17 where it fucking matters for the tournament. If I see something nuts, I will post it in Telegram. All right, y'all. That means I'm out. See ya.